Hello everyone, this is Jasmine, aka gladiatorinsweats, and I'm here with the daily tarot message for September 1st, 2018. And it is Saturday, so happy Saturday to everyone. And happy September. We're in a brand new month, and every day we get to start fresh, but months give us a feel of like a more formal restart or a reformal cleaning of the state of the slate. So yeah, I just hope everyone's doing all right and that this is reaching y'all well. So I just want to jump right into it. So the galactic energy or galactic signature for today is the white spectral world bridger, which overall carries this energy of dissolution, of like dissolving, and of release, and of changes and shifts to allow for change, for newness, for novelty, for a breath of fresh air, even by surprise, of us even being thoughtful about what needs to be released, or what has been asked to be released in our lives, or what has been asked to be ended in our lives, in order for us to make space for newness, in order for us to make space for fresh opportunities. And even when you think about this world bridger energy, which is kind of what I feel heavily, especially because we've all been in these very potent and poignant like transformations within our psyches, within our mindsets, the ways that we see certain things, our understandings maybe of ourselves and maybe even of others, of particular people in our lives, of particular things in our lives, of attachments maybe that we've had, just so much changing, people moving, people losing jobs, people starting new jobs, people ending relationships, starting new ones, like all types of changes and catalysts for these brand new chapters, or even just brand new books in our life, if you will. And when you even think about death, which is ultimately, I think, a good word of describing this world bridger energy, honestly, of this can even just be related to ego death, but we can even think of this on a physical or tangible of there has to be a release, there's an exchange that takes place when you're moving into new states. And this can be observed in all sorts of matters, especially with water, because that's something that we all have some sort of experience with, where we can see how water changes its states, and it doesn't change its ultimate like essence. Its essence doesn't change. It's not even necessarily weight, but it's just oomph. Its essence really, I'm at a loss for words, really is not lost. But the states changes, and so maybe its mass or its definitions and all of that can change and be released or reformatted and whatnot. But its essence is always real, is truth. And so I feel water has so many lessons to be held in it, so I guess I refer to it often in regards, especially with myself and maybe just the collective as a whole, as we are learning to be more intuitive and overall mastering our energy and mastering our emotions. And so again, rounding this all back to this release into the new, rather. And yeah, so let's just get into the cards. So today I actually pulled for how the collective was feeling, as well as the collective guidance. And so I am not surprised that, again, the Hermit card is here. And so even as I believe I mentioned it yesterday, how I had been really in my own little hermit mode, that, okay, apparently the collective, we're all really kind of going inward, all in our own ways, where we're really maybe even just detaching from certain things, really cutting things off, even cutting certain people off, cutting just certain, frequencies, whether it comes through, people, maybe it comes through certain like TV or even news. Maybe people are just like not tuning into so much of certain news, or just really turning more inward, or really just turning their focus in a different direction. But really here, this Hermit is, us being in this withdrawal state, of us being in, as I've just been talking about a lot, of us just kind of coming back inward. And it's not just that. I keep looking at this clock at the bottom of this card, which I've mentioned before, but it makes me think of timelessness. It makes me think of when you really allow yourself to be still, when you withdraw yourself completely into silence, which is really what meditation is ultimately like, the quote unquote, purpose is to reach some sort of stillness of the mind. And so that's what I feel here, even especially with this kind of Virgo card energy, which is about like the critical mind, about the details in the reality. And I feel like there's a stillness here, and it's not really about finding the details externally, because not that it can't necessarily be, well, I guess it can't in a way. Our essence that we're really discovering ultimately has to be found inward. But when we do look outward in this, in the ways of like, inspiration, when we do like search through social media and stuff like that for inspiration, and it does work in its own way of us, being reminded of, oh, that's a good idea, I would like to implement that, or that resonates with me, and it triggers something of a remembrance that we're able to sort of start integrating into our knowing and to our being. But this transformation that is taking place is, it's calling for a much deeper focus inward. And I guess I just feel like I forget what the word is, but I feel like I'm like repeating myself so much about this going inward, about, not focusing so much on the external, especially in the ways of like advice, when it comes, or not even advice, but when it comes to the answers. This is, and Virgo is, even when we think about, Virgo can be about the answers, but, this is all going inside and really studying yourself, knowing yourself, because your reality is ultimately, your projection of your internal, to really just try and keep it simple. And it's not necessarily that, oh, you see something horrible outside because there's something horrible inside of you. It's not really like in that sort of a like black and white, but in the way of how I've been mentioning before, about how we can all, let's say, we all have a similar experience, and, one person can be, wholly aggravated, and it really bothers them, for the rest of their day. And another person, it may kind of bother them, but it may, if anything, maybe it creates some sort of wonder in their minds, in their hearts, of, well, why did this happen for me, not rather than to me. And that's all about, perception, and all about your I don't know, it's not even about a level of awareness. I mean, it is, but it's really about, just not attaching so much of a immediate story. Our instinct is to believe that it's, to really hop into, oh, this is a negative thing, and to really grind that into the ground until we're just completely romanticizing, our struggles. But I guess because I feel like I'm kind of going on a tangent, but I hope that this is all making sense of us coming back to this present now, of us studying ourselves, of us recognizing, what needs to be done for us to create our ideal now. And there's this sense of, as we're creating our perfection, we still understand and accept that there's an inherent perfection that is, simply because it is. So yeah, I really hope that makes sense here. Let's see, is there anything else that I'm getting really from this card? I mean, like I said, it's been coming up a lot, and so I feel like even the fact that it's coming up a lot, I really just am wanting to tune into it. I mean, I really feel like we're really activating our light bodies, honestly. We're activating our light vehicles, to really be able to navigate higher consciousness. Which means, sometimes we do have to tune out, certain stimuli. And maybe that's even what this is about, because I feel like a lot of us, especially empathic folk, like myself, but just many of us, we're just very overstimulated and addicted to overstimulation, which I think many of us have already started to acknowledge or have been able to intuitively perceive, whether it's through the feeling of being addicted to our social media, or feeling, addicted to our foods, or certain foods and vices. We start to see that in very tangible ways in our physical reality. And I think we're also starting to see this in an energetic, or like a emotional, mental way, of seeing how certain things are even making us feel as we're turning more inward. And as I was speaking yesterday about tuning into our bodies and into the senses, and really also allowing those to kind of guide us too. And so I feel like that's, like, all of that is really coming through here with this Virgo. I mean, this the Hermit card here, which does carry this Hermit Virgo card archetype. Oh my goodness, words all over the place. So yeah, so moving into the guidance for the collective today. And I really actually like this card, because at first I was feeling like, when we're starting this new month, like, why would we have this Six of Cups? Why would we have this going back? And when I really kind of tuned into the card, what I looked at was the dolphins in the card. And what I started thinking about was how, dolphins live on this frequency of joy. And it's just something that I was learning about, how they communicate on this frequency, and how we can communicate on this frequency as well, when we tap into this inner childlike sense of joy and innocence. And many of us can do this, or may have done this, when we have laughed a bit too hard, and we giggle, a very like high-pitched giggle, and it's very resonant with that high frequency of joy. And I guess that's what this made me think of this returning to this innocence. And this card normally when I do see this card, it does make me think of like reconnecting to like your past like friends or like past acquaintances or just people of the past. But here I really feel like this is even like reconnecting to this innocence of like childlike wonder with reality, and returning to just being. I just really feel that like the dolphin. I don't know why I really just pick up on that dolphin and was just like, that's what I really feel here. And so I feel like there's this desire, and not just this desire, but there's this suggestion and urging to focus on this resonance of joy. And actually would like to probably talk a little bit more about that. I have some notes on that in my notebook, so maybe I'll post a video about that a little bit later, or maybe just post about it on Instagram. We'll see. But yeah, that's really what I feel here. But also with the bottom of the deck, we do have the Fool. And so again, I feel there's this 0 point, this returning to this blank slate of all opportunities, but even bringing this back to this spectral world bridger energy, this galactic signature of us having to release, and even referring back to August of many of us being through many releases that, some maybe felt very relieving and some didn't. I think maybe even many felt torturous, felt we weren't very ready to let go, or things and people and places that we were possibly clinging on to, or just, not even clinging on to. I don't want to give it in the connotation of like it was negative, but it's, it all played its part, and it's also just understanding, to why we are habitual and clinging to the things that have brought us some level of comfort. But I feel like we're really entering into just brand new territory. Like I was watching Ascension Diaries. If you don't follow them on YouTube, or follow her on YouTube, she's amazing. I love watching her daily reports. They're daily, if not every day, several times a week. Do check her out. But she does more of the scientific forecasts and following the like electromagnetic fields and things of that nature. But yeah, so all that to say, I really feel oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I remembered what I was trying to say. Oh, she was saying how she was felt that this month was a wild card, and that's definitely what I feel here. Like that's what it reminds me of really being in this space of just like not knowing, and this is what I've been talking about. Just leading up to this in the past couple weeks, the messages that have been coming in about, needing to get comfortable with not knowing, needing to get comfortable with even as I was talking about earlier, relating to the spectral tone of, things being shaking up, of seeming chaos, and even destruction that has to take place, or that takes place, that, maybe in the moment it seems like such a havoc and wreck and disaster, but in hindsight it's such a beautiful disaster that left for, a beautiful landscape from which to create anew. Or even it could create, even the havoc could be the beautiful creation that needed to be. You just never know, especially with this Uranian energy of the Fool. And I feel like this is even just relating to Uranus and Taurus, and all of this shaking up of, Mother Earth, of Gaia, with so much of the earthquake and tectonic plate activity that's been going on and taking place all over the world, but also within our own bodies. And we're feeling, very like ungrounded in our own bodies and very shaken up, where, I feel like a lot of the times I'm not even feeling very in my body, or at least this past couple weeks or so, it was just very just like in and out, like touch and go there. And feeling much more grounded in at this moment, but that's definitely what I'm reminded of like all of this shaking up that's happening. And every moment when we get comfortable is like that's when something new jumps in to shake things up even further, to bring us further to where we are. And it's really like all of these shakeups are just like quantum leaps of just like, all right, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. And like that's the way I'm seeing it, is like a fast forward on a VCR is like the first thing came to my mind, but who owns those anymore? But yeah, it's just like a fast forward of like, it's not really like we're moving. I mean, time does feel like we're moving faster, but it's like, every second that it feels like we might start to like slow down, things just start to pick up again in another way. So yeah. And even as I was like looking underneath the cards, at the bottom of the deck, underneath the Fool, we have Eight of Wands, we have the Sun, we have Wheel of Fortune, and we have the Magician. Like, this is crazy energy coming in, like crazy dynamic shifts, really not just opening our minds in such a vague way, but it's like really like bringing us online. And I feel like we're going to have such a clarity, or we're just really coming into more and more and more clarity towards like every time that we feel like we've like maybe we've gotten our fill, that like that's again when another like stream just like pours in, another stream just pours in. But that just really causes us to again relook at things, like we're just remaining open. At the very bottom of the deck is a Page of Cups. And I really feel this is about us just kind of being open to the mystery and the magic that is taking place here. So yeah, just gonna round it off there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really wanting to just get back into these dailies. I just feel invigorated and just feeling really impassionate. Not just get back into it, but even as, I'm in my hermit mode, and the further I just tune into myself, I just start to feel like I'm finding not necessarily just my flow, but I'm really feeling like just really in tune. And so I feel like just the same stuff that I've been suggesting for everyone, as far as, just not even just meditation, but the things that you've intuitively the changes you've had, you've been needing to make, and the like releases you've been needing to make, as far as maybe social circles that you really don't really even align with you, but maybe you're just like, saving face for the sake of saving face. And maybe we're doing this in many aspects of our lives, or just not making the changes because we're so stuck in this comfort. But not just this Fool card at the bottom of the deck, but the spectral world bridger energy is letting us know, or not just letting us know today, but bringing to our awareness the things that not just need to be shaken up in our lives, but even on the collective scale, the things that really need to be released, the things that really need to be shaken up, even maybe shaken up to the surface, even to be seen in the first place. So yeah. Check out my Instagram for more frequent updates and postings and stuff like that. Getting more into that lately. And yeah, check out my website for info on readings, and really wanting to work on a process, or really a way to like share the ways that I incorporate like the tarot and 13 moon cycle and all of these tools to kind of align myself not just with my, I guess, home frequency, but also with the universal flow, the galactic flow of everything, and really wanting to provide a way where it's easy. Like yeah, like I guess that's really the thing, because something that really struck me from Flight Boss, for those of y'all that follow him or watch him on YouTube, and if you don't, check him out as well. He was talking about, or I don't know if he was talking about this today. I think I was actually watching like an old, like 9-month-old video or something like that. But, and it's just something that I just highly resonate with, there's so much knowledge out there. There's just so much, not even just knowledge, but there's so much information that we're learning or relearning ultimately how to discern, knowledge from just a statement, or not even just knowledge from a statement, but being able to discern what resonates with us as truth and what isn't, and being able to see what's fear, or what's really underlyingly, written through fear, or based in fear, and what's not. And not just this, but when it comes to just all of these practices and healing modalities and techniques, and I mean, there's just so much that there's nothing wrong with there being so much. It's a beautiful, unique, and just precious thing that we should be so thankful for in this age and in this time. But that it can be overwhelming. And so I think, instead of, at least for me, what I'm learning is, instead of just trying to learn so much and just trying to know so much, of actually integrating the things that we're learning and knowing, and practicing what we are learning and knowing, and ultimately moving to quote unquote preaching. Because we can, we just get passionate. I know many of us, about anything, we can get passionate about something, and it's really about us integrating it and really mastering, again, going back to this mastery of our energy, and mastery of our emotions, and mastery of ourselves, which I feel here is just even being spoken here in this Hermit card, as we're going within, in withdrawal and isolation. So yeah, I keep saying I'm gonna end it, but I'm gonna officially end it here. So again, I hope you all have a wonderful Saturday, and until tomorrow, I send y'all my love and wish y'all many blessings.